So, you sit down at your desk, you open a brand new AI chat window,
Yeah.
and you're ready to work.
Right.
But immediately, you realize you have a problem. The AI has amnesia.
Oh, complete and utter amnesia. It is a totally blank slate every single time.
It really is. It starts from zero.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't know anything about your business. It doesn't know your brand's tone.
No, it has absolutely no idea what your goals are for the quarter either.
Right. So, what do? You sit there and you just type it all out again.
Yeah, you copy and paste your company bio, you paste your style guide, you grab your project notes.
You do it again and again. It is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission today is solving this repetition fatigue once and for all. We're going to talk about crossing a bridge from just, using generic chatbots to building a personal AI agent that actually knows you.
Exactly. We want to build an assistant that shows up ready to work every single time you open your laptop.
So the roadmap for today is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We're going to combine two powerful tools, Google NotebookLM and Gemini Gems.
Yeah, that is the magic combo.
Right. So NotebookLM is going to act as the brain of your operation. And Gemini Gems, well, they're going to provide the personality and the rules.
Rub them together, and you have basically created a custom assistant that never forgets.
Which is huge.
It really is a total game changer for your daily workflow.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because before we just start mashing buttons and building things, we need to understand the architecture.
Sure.
Why do generic AIs fail us when it comes to specific, specialized work?
Well, the core problem is actually pretty simple if you think about it.
Yeah.
Generic AI pulls its answers from the entire internet. It is designed to give you a generalized, average summation of all human knowledge.
Which is great if you need, like, a recipe for banana bread.
Exactly. But it is terrible if you need a specific analysis of your Q3 marketing strategy. I mean, it doesn't have access to your private files.
Right.
It doesn't know your internal company rules. It is just guessing based on what other companies might do.
So we fix this blind spot with Google NotebookLM. And I hear people call this a smart folder or a second brain. But honestly, smart folder feels a little bit reductive.
Yeah, I agree.
How does it actually work under the hood?
Well, think about a normal folder on your desktop. It just stores files. It is a passive container. You still have to double-click them, open them, and read them yourself.
Right, you do the work.
Exactly. But with NotebookLM, those files actually become the AI's active memory. It reads them, processes them, and holds them in its working brain for you.
And you can upload up to 300 different sources into a single notebook.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes PDFs, your own rough personal notes, or even direct links to websites.
Right.
If you are a student, you can literally upload your entire semester's worth of textbooks.
Yeah.
Or if you are a business owner, you are uploading your product specs, your customer feedback, your financial sheets.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. When you ask a question inside that notebook, it isn't searching the internet anymore.
It stays local.
Exactly. It pulls directly and only from the documents you gave it. It will literally say, according to page 5 of the Q3 financial report.
That brings up a term we see thrown around constantly in the tech world, grounding.
Yes, grounding.
But it often sounds like marketing jargon. What does it actually mean in plain English?
It means anchoring the AI to your actual data, not the open internet.
Beat. I love that.
Yeah.
Anchoring the AI to your actual data, so there is no more guessing.
None.
The source is cited right there on the screen for you to verify.
But there is a catch.
Okay.
NotebookLM is amazing at storing facts, but its behavior still resets every time you start a new chat. It might give you a long academic answer one day and then just a bulleted list the next.
Ah, I see.
That is where Gemini Gems come into play.
So if NotebookLM is the memory, the gems are the personality.
Yes. Think of a gem as a permanent behavior layer. It is a permanent system prompt that intercepts everything. It sits right on top of your notebook.
Gotcha.
Every time you ask a question, the gem features the answer through its specific set of rules.
So I could build, say, a social media manager gem, and I'd tell it to always use a friendly tone. I'd tell it to keep sentences under 12 words. And I'd put in a strict rule, like never ever use emojis.
Exactly. And once you save that gem, those rules stick forever. You don't have to remind it to drop the emojis every time you open a new chat.
That saves so much time.
It really does.
Yeah.
The notebook holds the deep knowledge, and the gem holds the strict behavioral rules. Together, they sync up perfectly.
I picture it kind of like stacking Lego blocks.
Oh, like that.
You've got your base plate, which is the underlying AI model. Then you snap on the notebook block, which gives it your company's entire memory.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, you snap the gem block right on top, giving it your specific brand voice. You're building a custom employee who has already memorized your entire company handbook.
And because they know your brand voice and they know your products perfectly, the output feels consistent and reliable every single time.
So if the notebook is the memory, the gem is basically the instruction manual for how to use that memory.
Precisely. It tells the AI exactly how to retrieve, format, and deliver that stored knowledge to you.
Got it. Notebook is what it knows, gem is how it acts.
Spot on.
Okay, but let's pivot for a second. Stacking my existing files makes total sense. But what if I am starting at zero?
Right. Blank slate.
Yeah. What if I don't have a company handbook yet?
Yeah.
Am I just stuck until I write one? Or can the AI actually help me build the knowledge base itself? Let's dive into deep research.
This is where things get genuinely fun. You don't need a massive archive of files to start. You can actually use NotebookLM to go out and search the live web.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it will crawl through the internet, pull the best information, and synthesize multiple sources for you automatically.
But there is a trap here, right? If you just say, give me a summary of how to start a business, you are going to get a generic, useless paragraph.
Very generic.
The golden rule here is to never ask for a general summary. You have to ask the AI to build you a framework.
Yes, that is a critical distinction. A summary is passive. It is just a recap of information. A framework is a structured set of rules.
Right.
It is a checklist, a set of guidelines, or a decision matrix. It is an active, permanent thinking tool.
Let's make this concrete. Let's use a coffee shop example.
Yeah.
Say you want to start a boutique coffee shop in a highly competitive, busy city. You have absolutely no idea where to begin.
Instead of asking for a summary of the coffee industry, you prompt the AI for specific frameworks. You ask it to build a rigorous checklist for evaluating a retail location. You ask it to build a spreadsheet of essential equipment costs.
You ask it for a step-by-step guide to interviewing and hiring baristas.
Yeah.
And most importantly, you ask it to hunt for red flags. What are the top 10 reasons independent coffee shops fail in their first year?
Right. And then the AI goes out, searches the web, reads through dozens of articles, forums, and case studies. Then it organizes all of that chaotic information into one clean, highly structured document.
And here is the magic step. You take that beautiful, detailed output and you save it right back into your notebook.
Whoa, I mean, imagine building a permanent, expert decision-making brain in seconds that never forgets.
2-sec silence. It really is incredible when you step back and look at it. Your AI brain now has a permanent tool. It is not just fetching research for you anymore.
Right, it is actively equipped to help you evaluate your own business plan. You can bounce ideas off it, and it will run your ideas through that framework over and over again, keeping you honest.
Why is a framework so much better than just asking for a summary?
Because a summary just gives you a static answer to read once and forget. A framework gives you a repeatable, reliable structure to apply to any future problems you face.
A summary is a one-time answer. A framework is a permanent tool.
Exactly.
Now, we have these brilliant frameworks to help us make complex decisions. But knowing what to say is only half the battle. How do we get the AI to actually communicate those ideas out loud?
The writing part.
Right. How do we make it write in our unique voice without sounding like a robotic encyclopedia?
Well, writing content is rarely hard because you lack ideas. It is hard because maintaining tone consistency is exhausting. Generic AI simply doesn't know the cadence of how you naturally write.
No, it doesn't.
It defaults to that overly enthusiastic, slightly sterile AI voice we all recognize instantly.
I have a vulnerable admission to make here.
Oh, lay it on me.
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Yeah.
Where you start with a great output, but by the 5th follow-up question, the AI has completely forgotten your original instructions and wandered off topic. It starts hallucinating weird vocabulary I would never use. One day it sounds sharp, the next it completely falls flat.
Oh, we have all been there. Prompt drift is infuriating. The fix for this is building a dedicated, highly focused writing notebook.
So instead of mixing research and writing, you create a new space. You upload your top 5 best-performing LinkedIn posts. You drop in 3 of your favorite, most persuasive emails. You add your company's core brand mission statement.
Then you pair that specific notebook with a content writer gem. The AI physically reads your past work. It analyzes your vocabulary, your sentence length, your pacing. It essentially reverse engineers your unique voice.
Let's look at how you'd actually prompt this setup. You'd say, write a LinkedIn post about our new product launch.
Right, but you add specific constraints. Check the brand guidelines document, use a hook, then the body, then a clear call to action structure. Keep the entire post strictly under 200 words.
And make sure to mention the 3 main user benefits you pull from the product specs file.
Because it is actively referencing your past writing, it perfectly mimics you. It pulls the hard facts from your uploaded product specs, but it applies your distinct personal writing style to deliver the message.
It makes the entire content creation process so much faster, and honestly, it makes it much more enjoyable. You aren't fighting the machine anymore.
Exactly. No more spending an hour doing endless line edits just to fix the robotic voice. It starts off sounding like you on draft 1.
Does throwing in a few old emails really change the tone that much?
Absolutely. It gives the AI a literal blueprint of your cadence. It stops guessing how a professional should sound and just looks at how you actually sound.
Yeah, seeing your past writing forces it to mimic your unique rhythm.
It really does.
We're going to take a quick break right here. Mid-roll sponsor reads placeholder, and we are back.
Ready to keep going.
Okay, the logic is sound. The tools make sense. The frameworks are built. But let's talk about where this falls apart. How do we prevent this customized system from hallucinating or just giving us muddled, confusing answers?
Setup and rigorous testing are absolutely critical here. You cannot just throw a bunch of files into a folder, skip to the finish line, and trust it blindly.
I'll be honest, my very first instinct is always to just dump every single file I own into one massive notebook.
Oh, no.
I just want one mega brain that knows my whole life. Why shouldn't I do that?
Then not do that. I cannot stress this enough. That is a massive mistake. When the AI processes entirely unrelated topics in the same space, the vector searches cross-contaminate. The answers get muddled.
So if I ask for marketing copy, it might accidentally pull in the passive-aggressive tone from an old HR complaint I uploaded?
Exactly. The AI tries to synthesize everything it sees. So separation is key. You need a strict boundary. 1 notebook per project, or 1 notebook per specific role. Do not mix your new coffee shop business plans with your personal daily journal.
That makes sense. Also, after you upload your files, you need to actually check the auto-generated AI summaries of those files.
Yes, very important.
If the AI's initial summary of a document is fundamentally off, every answer it gives you based on that document will be off. You can actually add your own inline notes to signal to the AI what is truly important.
Then we have to talk about gem specificity. Vague instructions in your gem will fail every time. Telling a gem to simply be a helpful assistant means absolutely nothing to an AI.
You have to be hyper-specific. Let's use a real estate example to illustrate this.
Perfect. You don't just say, help me find houses. You tell the gem its precise role. You are an expert real estate research assistant. Your primary job is looking for undervalued deals for a family of 4.
You tell it exactly what metrics matter. Focus strictly on price per square foot. Focus heavily on the physical distance to top-rated public schools.
And then you give it a hard, specific rule to govern its output. Always present your findings in a simple, readable table. And if a property does not have a fenced backyard, you must mark it with a yellow flag.
Beat. I love that level of control. The more granular and specific you are with the rules, the better the output. But even with all that, you still cannot just trust the AI right out of the gate. You have to verify it.
You have to stress test the agent before you rely on it for real work. Test number 1 is strictly for grounding.
Right, so you intentionally ask the AI for a highly specific detail, a tiny detail that you know is buried deep within page 42 of a massive PDF you uploaded. And you explicitly demand an exact citation for the answer.
If the AI pulls the detail and cites the source correctly, your grounding is working perfectly. But if it gives you a vague answer that sounds like a generic Wikipedia entry, your gem needs stricter rules. It is drifting back to the internet.
Then you run test number 2, which is for reasoning. You ask the AI to compare 2 competing concepts from your documents, idea A and idea B.
But the trick is, you instruct it to base the comparison only on your uploaded notes. For example, ask it to compare the 2 ideas strictly based on implementation cost or deployment speed.
If the answer is logical, structured, and clearly draws only from the nuances in your documents, the system works.
And look, if the tests fail, don't panic. It doesn't mean the AI is broken. Usually it just means you need clearer headings in your original source documents, or you need to simplify your gem instructions so they aren't contradicting each other.
What's the immediate tell that the AI has ignored my files and is just guessing?
It'll give you a really smooth, confident, generalized overview, but it won't be able to point to a single page or paragraph from your uploads.
If it cannot cite the exact page, it's just making things up.
That is the ultimate red flag. Always look for the receipts.
Okay, let's look at the bigger picture. If you put in the work, you get the setup right, You separate your notebooks, and you rigorously test the output. What actually happens next? How did this change a random Tuesday morning 6 months from now?
It completely transforms the friction of your daily workflow. Every morning, you just open your gem. You don't prep it, you don't brief it. It is just ready.
There is no more reloading context. No more typing out long paragraphs re-explaining the goals of the project you were working on yesterday. You just jump straight into the actual work.
It entirely solves the blank page problem. You can instantly ask your customized assistant for a structured outline based on the messy research notes you took the night before.
You can ask it to actively flag blind spots or gaps in your logic. You start the work with the heavy lifting already done. You're starting at the 80% mark.
And then you experience the compound effect. The agent actually gets smarter and more aligned with you over time.
Because every new file you upload, every new piece of feedback you drop into the notebook, deepens the context. It increases the AI's accuracy. It drastically reduces the time you spend fixing those little annoying errors.
It literally grows alongside you. The longer you use the specific system, the more deeply it understands the weird nuances of your specific business.
Let's hit some rapid-fire listener FAQs, because whenever we talk about uploading personal data, red flags go up. People always ask about privacy first. If I upload my startup's business plan, is my data truly safe?
Yes. Google has explicitly stated they do not use your private NotebookLM data to train their global public models. Your data stays in your instance. It is completely safe for sensitive business plans and proprietary research.
What are the actual technical limits on the uploads? Am I going to hit a wall fast?
Not likely. You can have up to 300 individual sources per single notebook, and each of those sources can be up to 500,000 words.
That is massive.
That is a massive, massive amount of data. You could upload the entire Harry Potter series several times over into one notebook.
What does this kind of power actually cost?
Currently, NotebookLM is completely free while it's in its testing phase. Some of the more advanced Gemini features might require a premium subscription later on down the line, but right now the barrier to entry is zero.
Can I collaborate with my remote team on this, or is it strictly single player?
Absolutely, you can collaborate. You can share a fully loaded notebook exactly like you'd share a Google Doc. Everyone on the team gets access to the exact same brain, which is brilliant for keeping a remote team perfectly aligned on the facts.
And finally, what happens when a project changes and I delete an old, outdated file?
That's how you keep the brain clean and accurate. Deleting a source file causes the AI to instantly forget that information. There is no residual memory muddying up future answers.
So if I delete a business plan, the AI completely wipes it from memory.
Instantly. The second that PDF is gone, the AI's knowledge of it completely vanishes.
Exactly. Deleting a file instantly scrubs it from the AI's brain.
It gives you total granular control over exactly what the system knows at any given moment.
2-sec silence. Lift your breath and recap the really big idea here today. We are crossing a major historical bridge right now.
We are moving from simply acting as consumers who just use a generic AI chatbot to acting as architects who are building our own highly specialized AI systems.
And we are doing it entirely in plain English without writing a single line of code. It takes a neat parlor trick, a basic tool, and turns it into a true, reliable partnership.
It is incredibly empowering once you get it set up. It changes how you view your own capabilities.
So here's our call to action for you this week. Don't sit around waiting for the perfect, comprehensive master plan. Pick one small, annoying part of your job today, make a dedicated notebook for it, upload 5 relevant files, ask it one question, and just see how it feels to have an AI that actually knows what you're talking about.
Start small, experiment with the gems, and the results will surprise you immediately.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought, something to really chew on as you start building these out. If your customized AI has eventually read every important document you have ever written,
And it perfectly understands your personal frameworks, your business goals, and your unique tone of voice.
how long until it starts connecting dots across years of your own work and starts having brilliant original ideas that you wish you had thought of first?
That is the ultimate compound effect in action. It stops being an assistant and starts being a collaborator.
It is a totally new frontier. And the absolute best part, you will never have to cure its amnesia ever again.